My name is Emma Carter. And the biggest truth of my life is, what happened to me should never happen to anyone, not even an enemy. I grew up in a small, quiet town in Ohio. My world was simple. My dad, my home, and my little dreams. But when I was 12, my mom died. And after that day, everything changed. A few months later, my dad got remarried. Her name was Victoria. First, she was kind, calling me darling, taking care of me, like she really wanted to be my mother. But slowly, her real face started to show. She began controlling me. What I wore, who I talked to, where I went, everything. And the strangest part, she always knew everything about me. Every small detail, like she was always watching. Sometimes it felt like she wasn't just my stepmother. She was designing my life. Time passed, and I moved to Chicago for college. For the first time, my life felt like it was mine. And that's where I met Jake Miller. Was the first person who brought real happiness into my life. His smile, his voice, everything about him felt real. Slowly, we got closer. He wasn't just my boyfriend. He became my world. And maybe that was my biggest mistake. One weekend, I went back home. Everything felt normal. But inside, something felt wrong. Then Victoria called me. Emma, she said calmly. You're old enough now. You should start thinking about marriage. Without thinking, I said, I'm in love with someone. She looked at me for a few seconds, then said, Jake Miller. My world stopped. How do you know that? She smiled slightly. I know everything. In that moment, I realized this wasn't normal. I gathered my courage. I'm going to marry him. No. One word. And everything collapsed. Why? I asked angrily. She walked closer and whispered, because you'll marry who I choose. That night, I couldn't sleep. Called Jake. Told him everything. He went quiet, then said, Emma, this isn't right. We have to do something. I'll talk to my dad, I said. But the next day, everything changed. I talked to my dad, but he said nothing. No questions, no resistance, like he had already lost. Then Victoria walked in. Your wedding is next month. My breath stopped. With who? She placed a photo in front of me. Daniel Blake. Stranger. I'm not doing this. Shouted. She threw a file in front of me. Then take a look at this. My hands started shaking. Property papers. My dad's signatures. Everything. Transferred to her name. This is illegal, said. She stepped closer. Prove it. I don't care about the property. She smiled. I'm not talking about property, Emma. My heart dropped. Think about Jake. Silence. Then she said the one thing that destroyed me. Accidents can happen anytime. Tears filled my eyes. In that moment, understood. This wasn't a marriage. It was a trap. That night, kept calling Jake. Again and again. No answer. The next day, got a call. Is this Emma Carter? Yes. Jake Miller has been in an accident. He's in critical condition. My world up. And I realized this was just the beginning. After that call, my hands were shaking. The phone was still against my ear. But I couldn't hear anything anymore. Just one thing echoing. Jake, accident, critical. I ran to the hospital. My heart racing. Like every beat was my last. When I got there, the ICU light was on. And standing under it was Victoria. Froze. You here? Asked, my voice shaking. She turned slowly and smiled. I told you, accidents can happen anytime. Tears filled my eyes. You did this, didn't you? She stepped closer. What do you think? Her words cut deep. If anything happens to Jake, I'll never forgive you, said. She laughed softly. Try saving yourself first, Emma. There was no fear in her eyes, only a cold warning. In that moment, understood. I had already lost this game. I had only two choices. Or lose Jake. And I chose to save him. Fine. I'll marry him. My voice was shaking. Just don't let anything happen to Jake. Victoria smiled. Good. Within days, I was married. Everything happened so fast. I didn't even understand. When I became a bride, I stood in front of the mirror. And I didn't recognize myself. This wasn't me. This was a girl. Trap. Standing in front of me was Daniel Blake, stranger, who was now my husband. That night, as soon as we entered the room, he shut the door. And suddenly, my face burned. What is wrong with you? Shouted. You ruined my life, he yelled. I was forced into this too. He snapped back. Silence. Then his voice changed. No anger. Just pain. You think I wanted this marriage? I stayed quiet. Victoria blackmailed me. My breath stopped. What? If I didn't marry you, she would kill my sister. The ground beneath me collapsed. I wasn't the only one trapped. He was too. Days passed. We lived in the same house. Like strangers. Husband and wife outside. Prisoners inside. But the real game was just beginning. One night, around 2 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Silence. Then a voice. Emma. My heart stopped. I knew that voice. Jake. Tears streamed down my face. You're alive. Yes, he said softly. But the truth will shake you. My hands trembled. What do you mean? My accident wasn't an accident. My heart pounded. Then what was it? It was planned. By who? My voice broke. Silence. Then he said, Victoria isn't alone. My chest tightened. What? There's someone else behind her. Who? I whispered. And the name he said next shattered my entire world. Your father. The ground disappeared beneath me. And in that moment, I realized the home I grew up in was hiding the darkest truth of all. That night, sleep was gone. Jake's voice kept echoing in my head. Your father. I couldn't accept it. The man who raised me. Could he really be against me? But now, more than questions, I needed the truth. The next day, I told Daniel, I need to go out. He looked at me carefully, like he already knew. Old factory, he said quietly. Froze. How do you know that? He gave a slight smile. Because I'm part of the same game. You're trapped in. My heart started racing. What does that mean? If you want the truth, I'm coming with you tonight. I had no other option. Said yes. 10 p.m. We reached the old factory. The place was deserted. Broken walls. Rusted gate. And silence. Heavy and cold. We stepped inside slowly. With every step, my heartbeat got louder. Jake! Called out. Silence. A shadow moved in the dark. Alive. Standing right in front of me. I ran to him. Are you okay? What is all this? He held my hand. But his grip was different. Cold. Emma, he said quietly. You need to know the truth. Then tell me. He took a deep breath. My accident was planned. You already told me that. Said panicking. But not the whole truth. My heart pounded harder. Victoria, and your father. He paused. This isn't just about money. Then what is it? Asked. He looked straight into my eyes. Because you're not their real daughter. The ground disappeared beneath me. What? You were adopted. My mind went blank. Then why do they want to kill me? He spoke slowly. Because your real parents were extremely wealthy. And everything they owned is in your name. Everything started making sense. The marriage, the accident, all of it, plan. And then, sudden sound, clapping. We both turned. A figure stepped out of the darkness, slowly. And when the light hit his face, froze. Daniel, smiling, low. Dangerous. Impressive, he said, clapping. You've figured out half the truth. I stepped forward, angry. What is this, Daniel? He came closer. Time you hear the rest. I'm with Victoria. Felt like an explosion in my ears. What? He laughed. This marriage, this drama. It was all part of the plan. Turned to Jake. You said you were with me. Jake stayed silent. Then quietly. I didn't have a choice, Emma. Daniel laughed. No choice. Or part of it. I looked at Jake. Confused. What does that mean? Daniel smiled. The truth is, Emma, Jake was part of this plan too. My heart stopped. No, that's not true. But Jake looked into my eyes and said softly, I wish it wasn't. In that moment, my world shattered. The person I trusted the most had betrayed me. Something inside me broke. I looked into his eyes. The same eyes where I once saw my future. They only held truth. And that truth was destroying me. Why? I whispered. Jake stayed silent for a moment. Because this was planned from the beginning, Emma. Felt like a knife through my heart. So you never loved me? Yes. He looked at me, then lowered his eyes. At first, no. 3 words. That changed everything. And later? Yes. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Daniel interrupted. Save the emotional drama. He stepped closer. Let's talk business. What do you want? Asked coldly. Everything you own. And after that? He smiled. You won't be needed. My breath caught. So this was it. I looked around. Tea factory. No one there. No help. But then, something clicked in my mind. I took a deep breath and steadied myself. Fine, I said. Both of them looked at me. I'll sign everything. Daniel frowned. That easily. But I have one condition. What? He asked. I looked at Jake. Before I sign, I want to know, did you ever love me? Even once? Silence. Jake looked at me, then said softly, yes. Tears filled my eyes. But this time, I didn't cry. 'Cause now, I was different. Then that was your biggest mistake. Daniel snapped. What nonsense. But before he could finish, I pulled out a small device from my bag and pressed the button. Suddenly, voices echoed all around. This is the police. Drop your weapons. Daniel's face dropped. What is this? Recording, I said calmly. Everything you just said is being transmitted live to the police. Jake looked at me, like he was seeing me for the first time. The police stormed in. They grabbed Daniel. Jake stood frozen, speechless. I walked up to him and said quietly, you used me. But in the end, I understood you. They took him away. As he left, he looked back at me, regret in his eyes. But now, it was too late. Everything was over. I stood alone in that factory. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid. But then, voice echoed. Clear. Good job, Emma. I turned instantly. And what I saw stopped my breath. Victoria, stepping out of the darkness, smiling. This is where the real game begins. Victoria stepped out of the darkness. That same cold smile on her face. I stared at her for a few seconds. How are you here? I asked quietly. She laughed. You really think I'd lose that easily? Anger rose inside me again. It's over, I said. Daniel and Jake. They've both been arrested. She walked toward me slowly. They were just pawns, Emma. I was running the real game. I took a deep breath. Then what now? Yes. She stopped right in front of me. Now, it's your turn. She pulled out a file from her bag. Sign it. Took it. The same papers. My entire property being transferred to her name. I looked into her eyes. And if I refuse? She smiled. Then your story ends right here. The factory went silent again. But this time, I wasn't afraid. I slowly closed the file and said, "You made one mistake, Victoria." He paused. "What mistake?" I said calmly. "You thought I was weak." And suddenly, sirens echoed from outside. Her expression changed. "What is this?" I smiled slightly. This time, I was ready. Within seconds, police rushed in, surrounding her from every side. She tried to run, but this time, there was nowhere to go. They arrested her. As they took her away, she looked back at me, her eyes filled with anger. But this time, she had lost. It was over. A few weeks later, I stood on the balcony of my new home. A home that once belonged to my real parents. Legally it was mine. I looked at their photo, and for the first time, felt peace. Was in prison. Daniel, serving his sentence. And Victoria, was behind bars. For good. I took a deep breath, and looked up at the sky. No fear. No control. I was free. Lucy. Victoria. They were all part of my life. But now, they were just a story. I whispered to myself, I'm going to write my own life now. And this time, Owen was going to take it away from me. If you stayed with this story till the end, maybe you felt it too. The most dangerous people in life are the ones we trust the most. And the strongest person is the one who breaks and still chooses to rise again. If you enjoy stories like this, you can stay with me for more. And tell me, if you were in my place, what would you have done?